So if you're going to buy an iSUP in 2019, you've got a lot of choice out there, haven't you? But if you just watched our recent SUPboarder Pro video where we went over some of the top brands, you might have seen that this was one of the top brands we suggested, the Quroc. So this is a premium product board aiming at more of a mid-price point. Quroc have still got their best-selling 10'4" board, but this year they've brought out the 11'4" board as well. Both new constructions of these boards, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. We're going to go over the construction, the developments for 2019, and what you get for the full package, and helping you compare which one will be best to buy for you. So a little bit of information about Quroc. They're a UK-based brand, but no doubt you could probably get them shipped all around the world. They are a direct sell brand, so because of that, they can keep the price down a little bit and concentrate on getting you a good premium product, but at a good price point. The 10'4" retails at £699 and the 11'4" retails at £729, and that is with a 3-piece carbon paddle, a GRI triple action HP6 pump. You get your wheelie backpack, you get your paddle bag, and you get a leash as standard, and of course a fin with that package price. So it is a very competitive package price. So the specifications for the two boards, well, the bigger one, 11'4" long, 32 inches wide, 6 inches thick, gives the volume at 320 litres. It only weighs 9 kilograms, and as I said, it retails at £729 as a full package. The smaller board is 10'4" long and 32 inches wide, so it's the same width and it's also the same thickness, 6 inches thick. The volume of the board is 255 litres, it weighs 8.5 kilograms because it's a little bit shorter, and that has a retail package price of £699. These boards that we're reviewing are the first boards that we've tested with the new X woven construction. What that basically means is all of the inflatable paddleboards have got an internal core of dropstitch. Dropstitch is basically a nylon weave which goes from top to bottom of the board to keep its shape and form. X woven dropstitch is basically where the dropstitch is crossed over, it gives you a much more stable platform, and it's probably the way that a lot of the brands are going to go, but Quroc are really on it and they have already got it in their main crossover boards. There's reinforced rails on the board, so you haven't got to worry about it getting scratched down the rail section, which is probably the most common place where boards do get scratched as you're lying them down on its side. So with that, you haven't got to worry about these boards getting damaged at all. If this is the first SUPboarder review you've ever watched, we always put our inflatable paddleboards, or iSUPs, on a deflection test, which is where we measure how much the board drops. We put them on a gap of 1.5 meters apart, and we put a weight of 75 kilograms in the center, and then we measure how much the board deflects or drops. Quroc recommend 2 levels of PSI pressure, 15 and 18 PSI. Because at the end of the day, nobody really likes pumping up their board more than they really have to, and if you're a lighter based rider or just want to paddle and have fun with the kids, you can easily go towards the 15 PSI. If you want a bit more performance or a stiffer base board, or you're a heavier rider, definitely go up to the 18 PSI. Really interesting test on this. When we pumped it up to 15 PSI, the board dropped 14 millimeters, which is actually stiffer than some more top end boards that are a lot more money. And then when we pumped the board up to 18 PSI, the deflection went down to 12 millimeters, which is actually a very stiff board, especially for the price point. It's obviously to do with the construction process they put on the board, but definitely the X woven drop stitch is really making a difference and giving the board a lot of stiffness. So with the new Quroc construction, these boards are obviously stiff and fairly lightweight, but what else do you get? What are the features and fittings that you get as standard with both of these boards? Well, starting off at the top and the front, both the boards come with GoPro mounts, selfie mounts. You can clip the cameras in facing forwards or backwards, and they've actually got a ram mount screw as well, so you can screw in several other different mounts if you're not using the GoPro attachment. Moving back on the board, both the boards have got bungees. The 11'4" has got bigger bungees that can definitely get more cargo underneath it. The 10'4" has the same size bungees as it had last year. Obviously, you're not going to carry as much weight on the 10'4", it being a little bit shorter. They've both got large, comfortable deck pads, finished off in the sort of Quroc styling. It's nice, neoprene, comfy carry handle, really big and easy to get your hand under. Carrying the boards isn't a problem. Deck pad goes nicely back all the way to the tail, and the 11'4" is finished off with a carry handle, and then at the back of the board you got your pressure valve and your leashing point. The 10'4" hasn't got a carry handle, just the pressure valve and leashing point. Both the boards come standard with the FCS 9-inch touring fin, which is a fantastic fin for getting you going in a straight line because it's nice and swept back and it's also nice and wide. The 10-foot board also has two mini little side fins, which are sort of edging towards the bit more surf use, which is sort of where it's showing you that the board can be a little bit easier to use in the surf than the 11.4, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So before we move on to the outline shape and which board will perform best in certain conditions for certain riders, let's look at what else you get with the package as standard with both of these boards. So the big point I've got to get across is when I'm looking at this as a package price is you do get a lot for your money, and what you do get is all very good quality. There's no doubt this is the best quality package that we've come across and we've ever tested. I mean, starting with the pump, you've got a GRI triple action HP6 pump. We've tested the HP5 pump before. It's a really good pump. The HP6 is a little bit more lightweight, a little bit more slimmed down. It's still got the great pumping features. It still has 3 settings to get a huge amount of air in your board very quickly. A very good pump, and it comes as standard with the package. Looking at the paddle, this year you get a Pura Vida 3-piece carbon paddle, which is a fantastic all-round paddle for most people getting into paddleboarding. It's very, very lightweight. It's very easy to put together. It's got like a diamond top section so the paddle doesn't twist, so it's very easy and it locks in, doesn't move at all when you're paddling it. I'll be happy to take this paddling light racing, surfing, touring, doing everything, and getting into SUP for the first time. Really nice little 3-piece paddle there, full carbon. As you just noticed, I've just pulled it out of the paddle bag as well. This is the first time we've ever seen a paddle bag as standard with a package. Shows you again another bit about like the quality, what they're trying to get at, and actually how much you get for the package price point. Finishing off with the bag, well, it's got a very simple look to it, as in it's just black with the Quroc logo, but it's very sort of heavy duty ripstop nylon. It's got wheels, it's got backpacks, it's padded. It's got everything you'd expect a more expensive board and package to have. Nice and comfy, very easy to fit the board in, and you'll be happy carrying this a moderate to long distance. And finishing off with the smallest thing, but definitely the most important, you get a Quroc neoprene padded leash, coiled leash. Absolutely fantastic, perfect for going on the board, doing general paddling and a bit of light surfing. So you can see with a package like that, that's one of the reasons why these Quroc boards are so popular. But another reason is because the boards are so easy to paddle. This year, the 11.4, the 10.4 are very similar boards to paddle. You could paddle them if you're up to 115, maybe the 10.4, 120 kilos, maybe if you're the 11.4 can take a little bit more weight because a little bit more length, but they're around the same sort of rider weight, so you can paddle them about the same. So really, what board should you be going for? They're both 32 wide, they're both 6 inches thick. What is the difference? The new 11.4 crossover has evolved from the older 10.4 crossover. It being 11.4, it's way easier to paddle in a straight line. It's got much more glide than the 10.4. Basically, if you want to paddle further for longer and not really interested in turning or going in the wave so much, a longer base board is always going to be the better option. Obviously, you can get more equipment on a longer board. You could put storage, you could put dry bags at the front, you could maybe even have a little dry bag at the back, you could put kids or dogs up at the front on the 11.4, and it's going to handle that weight way better. You're still going to be able to put weight and kids and dogs sitting up at the front of the 10.4, but if you were paddling it further, the 11.4 would be a much easier board to do that. The drawback to a longer base board is the turning and the maneuverability of the board. Everything takes a little bit longer, or you've got to use the board a little bit more with your footwork to get the board to turn. The 10.4 is a much easier board to move around. It's much happier in the surf than the 11.4 would be. It's a little bit shorter and easier to handle in breaking waves. So if you were looking at really wanting to do all-round paddling, doing all aspects of paddleboarding, from fun with the family to catching some small waves, then maybe the 10.4 is the board for you. But if you're looking at really doing more flat water-based paddling, a bit more long distance, but still having fun with the family, then I would push towards the 11.4. It's a very simple separation, but that's really how I would suggest you think about it. These boards are both going to be fine for getting yourself into paddleboarding or teaching your friends to paddleboard. No worries at all, because they've still got the same width. Just to give you an idea about board shape and design, width is the key to getting a stable paddleboard. The wider the board will be, the more stable it will be to paddle. The downside to a wide board is that the slower it is going to be to paddle. And also, if you're a smaller person, you're going to have to reach over further with your paddle to put the paddle in the water. 32 inches wide is the optimum width for 90% of people who want to paddle on a regular basis and get into paddleboarding for a first time. Pros and cons and value for money. Pros, 2 boards, very well designed, perfect sizes for a lot of people to get in paddleboarding. The package is the best package we have ever seen for the price point. And cons, well, as far as the board shape, construction and package goes, there's nothing you can really say negative about these. Maybe the fact that they're a direct sale brand and you can't go to a shop so easily to go and see them if you want to see that sort of thing, but there's probably enough people who own these sort of boards, or you can read the reviews on the internet to give a good understanding that these are a good quality brand. Value for money, a very, very good package at a very competitive price point. So there we go, there's the SUPboarder comparison review of the Quroc Crossover 11.4 and the Quroc Crossover 10.4. Hope that's given you an idea which board is best for you. They are a very good quality price point package, and they are going to get a lot of people on the water this year. If you're getting into paddleboarding, go and check out SUPboarder Mag. There's so much content on there, and if you're really loving it, check out SUPboarder Pro. We do loads of other reviews and technique videos on that as well. Give us a like if you like this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with more stuff, and we'll see you next time.